Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Covering both sides of the big issues with the analysis you trust on News Radio 1040 WHO.
We have a humanitarian crisis going on in Ukraine that unfortunately is just going to worsen. You're going to be hearing about that this winter due to the actions of Russia. Marcum Davis is the CEO of Abundance International Incorporated. Marcum operates orphanages in Ukraine, and he joins me on the Newsmaker line this morning. Marcum, thanks for joining me on Iowa Radio. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. I appreciate you letting us have a chance to share some of the untold stories. I hope all's well with you.
All is well with me, Mark, but what are you worried about this winter in Ukraine?
There's so many things. You know, people have to understand what we've already been dealing with. I've been there for 10 years. This has been my passion, my love. And, of course, when the war came down, we were there when the bombs hit. And the whole thing has changed. I mean, we've lived 10 lifetimes just in the last 7 months, and now we're looking at what's yet ahead. To answer your direct question about winter, it's a huge concern because they're already rationing electricity. As you know, you hear the headlines. We've been trying to be proactive in getting coal lined up. It takes about 2 tons of coal to take a family through the winter, and not to mention what it takes for orphanages. There's a lot of details, how it works, the furnaces they use, the coal systems, but that's really going to become a primary thing for heat. Electricity, of course, is another issue that affects other things, but mostly we're looking at we got to keep heat for people to really survive the winter is the primary concern we have.
And Mark, when I started to hear the news that Putin was ordering drones to hit infrastructure in Ukraine, my thought was he's trying to freeze them into surrender. I mean, is that a fair statement? You know,
it's funny. I've always asked on interviews about military opinions and political opinions. It sure would appear that, you know, Putin wants to create enough pain in the populace, inflict there that they would influence them to want to surrender. I can't speak to that. All I know is I see what's coming. I believe you're correct. I think he's now intentionally targeting. Well, he has been targeting. I say that because people don't understand. He has been targeting civilian places since the beginning of the war. We've been continuing to move our, you know, here's the thing. Please understand from my perspective, you know, these are kids we've been dealing with. We go there, we hug them, we love them. We're trying to give them as much a normal life as possible. And every stage we keep having to readjust we do to try to give them a normal life between the food. They're starting to try to go to school right now. And the disruption psychologically at first was the horrible thing because every day they're having to, when the bomb sirens go off, which is 4 and 5 times a day, they're taking the kids down to the bomb shelter. Finally, a lot of these orphanages are just simply having the kids live there. They have entire makeshift orphanages for over 100 kids in basements. That's their life. And these care workers and all of us who work at abundanceinternational.org, we're trying to create as much normalcy no matter what comes our way. And kids are resilient. You know, if you tell them this is the new norm, they try to adjust. But there's certain things you can't adjust for. With orphans, you have a third of them that are special needs. They can't be moved. The shock and trauma, you know, psychologically is horrific. And then now, of course, we have to get them to live through the winter on top of that. But what we've done is taken kids from the closer to war zone areas, moved them to orphanages that are in safer parts of the country. And in doing so, now those orphanages are overcrowded. So on a daily basis, we're looking at getting food supplies in, having to do it all locally. There's not enough reliable gas to depend on national deliveries to the location. So, and in the case of the most remarkable stories we have, and I'm sorry, I'm cramming a lot into this little bit.
No. I mean, I'm mesmerized by this, Mark. I please continue.
The most remarkable stories we have are actually in the Kherson region, where it's been behind enemy lines in Russian-controlled areas really since the second week of the war. And so the Ukrainians have not been able to get the normal resources there. The Russians, you know, really ransacked the grocery stores and everything else in that area. So what we actually did, I'm very proud of our team. I cannot say how proud I am for the creativity. We've created our own food source and food chain system down there. We got with local growers, butchers, dairy farmers. We got together with the people who own the pharmacies. The pharmacies are closed, but they have their own stocks. We said we need this and this. We've been getting actually friendly Ukrainians from Crimea helping to bring over some supplies to these orphanages. In some of the cases where one of the orphanages was actually pressured to be taken over by the Russians, we created a foster care system where we ended up getting the kids out to local families for care, and then we sent care packages to the families. These are the stories that we're the only ones doing. I know nobody else is telling the story, but this is what it takes right now on a daily basis. What's the new thing thrown at us? What else do we have to do to survive? But I'm really delighted to say we are doing an exemplary job considering everything that's being thrown at us.
So, Mark, obviously the next question is, what can we do to help you? You are the CEO of Abundance International. How can we help?
I really appreciate that, and there's going to come a time. I have so many people volunteering; they want to come help, or they want to adopt kids. And until this, I say dust settles. I mean,
yeah, I know.
I don't even want to say that, but really, until commercial airlines are feeling good to fly back to Ukraine, it's hard to go there on foot. So what I can tell people is we have a growing need, because we reach about 22 of the orphanages. I have a database of 146 orphanages. Now, I know probably 30 of those have been abandoned to move to safer parts of the country, but we would like to answer more of the needs that come our way. So, yes, donations at abundanceinternational.org. We've got a GoFundMe there, PayPal, debit card, anything like that. But what I assure you is this is not a fly-by-night thing. We've been doing this for 10 years. Right. We didn't just pop up as the flavor of the day. And I assure you, every week we're posting photos. We're showing where it goes. We get it to our team, our staff all across the country, and it'll be handled well. But the needs are only going to increase. We haven't even started budgeting for getting coal for the winter. We've been doing it on a per-request basis to some families who've been asking for it, but we're really going to have to ramp up for that. So really just donations are it. You'll get on our list. We'll regularly keep in communication what we're doing with it, but we need cash donations. And if anybody knows how to help us get into the evidently the $13 billion that was set aside for humanitarian aid, I know there's got to be more ways and ability to get more resources as well. But I promise you, we're doing the work.
You are doing the work, Mark, and I was glad to take the time today. As you said, it's a story that you're telling that's not being told. Mark Davis is the CEO. The organization is called Abundance International. Let me repeat that again. Abundance International. Marcum Davis. Mark, thanks very much for talking with me and for your work.